spread like wildfire across Northern California, and radio stations, the mass entertainment of the day, the TV of their time, broadcasted inflammatory statements and announced that there would be a lynching that night in St. James Park. Bear in mind, we now have radio stations and newspapers calling for a lynching in mass media, in full public, and the governor of California saying he would pardon the lynchers. By 9 p.m., various news sources were estimating the mob in St. James Park to be anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000 men, women, and children, with 3,000 vehicles parked on the streets surrounding. For those of you not familiar with the more historic sections of San Jose, St. James Park is not large. At the same time, Governor James Rolfe, Sunny Jim, actually cancelled his trip to the Western Governors Conference in Boise, Idaho, as that would leave the lieutenant governor in charge, and the lieutenant governor was likely to call out the National Guard to protect the prisoners and the rule of law, and thus prevent the lynching. At 10:30 p.m., Sheriff Emig called one last time to ask for help. Governor Rolfe refused. The attack began 30 minutes later, just as promised, at 11. The sheriff and 50 deputies attempted to fight the mob and fired tear gas bombs into the crowd, but such was the scale and anger of the mob at this point that the tear gas bombs only made them angrier, and somehow it grew even larger. Now the mob raided a construction site at the nearby post office 2 doors down for materials to make a battering ram. Then the sheriff's men ran out of tear gas bombs. The jail was breached. Emig orders his men to abandon the first 2 floors of the jail, and he took a wound from a brick while trying to prevent an inmate some of the attackers had mistaken for Thurmond. By the time the mob emerged from the ravaged jail building, Thurmond was already unconscious, which caused the mob to take an even more sadistic vengeance on Holmes. I will very deliberately not tell you about it. They were hanged on a cork elm tree near the statue of the assassinated President McKinley. Actor Jackie Coogan from Charlie Chaplin's The Kid, and later as Uncle Fester on the original Addams Family, reportedly held the rope. This was the first time that a lynching was really a national media event, and the Ellensburg Daily Record in Ellensburg, Washington, 750 miles away from the lynching, quoted Governor Rolfe as saying, "That was a fine lesson to the whole nation. There will be less kidnapping in the country now. They made a good job of it. If anyone is arrested for the good job, I'll pardon them all. I hope this lesson will serve in every state of the Union. If I had gone away, someone would have called out the troops on me. And I promised in Los Angeles I would not do that. Why should I call out troops to protect these 2 fellows? The people make the laws, don't they? Well, if people have confidence, the troops will not be called out to mow them down when they seek to protect themselves against kidnappers. There is liable to be swifter justice and fewer kidnappings." The Madera Tribune again quoted Governor Rolfe, promising to pardon the lynchers. He also added, "I am thinking of paroling any kidnappers to those fine, patriotic citizens of San Jose who know how to handle the situation. Parole Officer Ed White is much too busy as it is," though he did at least admit that he found it unlikely he would be able to parole them to the lynch mob. Within a week, the tree had been stripped of low branches and bark by souvenir hunters. The San Jose City Council had a special meeting in which testimony was given to keep the tree as a monument and warning to criminals. The council wisely decided to cut it down. During its removal, the police had to ward off a crowd of people trying to get souvenirs of the tree. The district attorney of nearby Alameda County, future Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, Earl Warren, strongly advocated prosecuting the lynchers, but the DA of Santa Clara County, where the events unfolded, doubted witnesses could be found to testify against them. His assistant DA was quoted as saying he was not sorry it happened in San Jose. The ACLU stated that they had found witnesses who would testify against the lynchers, though the local public strongly opposed the meddling of outsiders. Former President Herbert Hoover condemned Governor Rolfe for his role in the lynching, but Rolfe countered that it would have been like the Hoover-era massacre of the Bonus Army marchers. Then current President Franklin Delano Roosevelt condemned Rolfe, and the Holmes family sued both Rolfe and the radio station KQW. But the lawsuit was dropped when Rolfe kicked the bucket of a heart attack in June the following year. In the end, 7 people were arrested, but not one was was convicted. One man who claimed to have led the mob was criminally charged, but the charges were dropped. Despite the evidence of thousands of witnesses and an abundance of journalists and photographers, the grand jury labeled the evidence and testimonies as totally inadequate, and no charges were filed. In short, not a single person was punished for their role in the lynching. In modern times, the story of these events has inspired one play and 4 films, including one by Fritz Lang, creator of Metropolis, and John Steinbeck himself was inspired to write his short story The Vigilante. But in spite of the magnitude of all the things that happened, these events have been largely forgotten. From a murderous mob in 1933 to the old violence that once shook and rattled California, the mad truths of our history have been subsumed into modern technology and enormous cities. But the Old West stands beneath us, and its many wild stories linger just beneath our feet. Hi there. Be sure to like and subscribe for more of the fantastical stories that history is full of. There are going to be more, and they're all, every one of them, going to be completely awesome. See you then.